I'm Virginia Collin, professional family mediator. I'd like to give you a few examples of creative things that people came up with when they were in mediation, figuring out what the terms of their divorce would be. These are things that people decided to do because that's what they thought was best for their family, that are things that a judge could not have ordered if they left it for a court to decide what they had to do. Here's one example of a parenting plan. I had a couple of parents. It was a second marriage for both of them, and each of them had children from the first marriage. And the dad had, just ordinary kind of minimal visitation rights every other weekend and a couple weeks in the summer with his child from the first marriage. The father of the mom's first children had completely disappeared from their lives. He just dropped out. Didn't send birthday cards, didn't send holiday cards, didn't pay child support, just, never communicated with the kids, abandoned them. So she wanted to protect the kids from the second marriage from being abandoned by their father. And the dad wanted to protect himself from being cut off for a large amount of the time from his own kids. And the plan they came up with was a plan that might sound horrible to some other parents in some other circumstances, but it was what both of them thought was going to be the best that they could do for their kids. So they figured, our houses aren't that far apart, 35, 45 minutes, depending on traffic. We live in the same county, so the school system is the same. What's taught in the school, elementary school where the dad lives, is highly similar to what's taught in the elementary school where the mom lives. So it should be okay for these kids to live 1 year with the mom and another year with the dad, to have the full immersion experience of this is what it's like to live with your father, and the full immersion experience of this is what it's like to live with your mom. And each parent could be a full parent with, all the day-to-day chores that go with being the primary parent, and all the day-to-day delights that go with being the primary parent. They could each have turns to do that, and their kids would grow up being very much connected to both parents and knowing that both parents are competent, and that even if they don't like each other anymore, mom and dad treat each other decently, and they let us live comfortably with both of them, with each of them. So already that's something that it would be highly unusual for a court to even consider ordering, that, when you're in first grade, you live with mom. When you're in second grade, you live with dad. Or I think that these parents did it in 2-year segments, and it changed when the kids got to middle school. But in any case, this would have been unusual for a judge to even consider. The piece of it that a judge really couldn't even do, the law wouldn't let the judge do it, would be changing child support in accordance with which parent the kids were living with. So these parents, they figured it out, and they wrote into their mediated agreement, their property settlement agreement for their divorce, that they would come back to mediation 2 months in advance of each time where the kids were going to live was going to change. And they would look at what their incomes were at that point and the other financial factors that are relevant, and they would recalculate child support and do what the guidelines recommended at that point in the kids' lives. So they're going to change who's paying child support to whom every other year, and they're going to change what amount of child support is being paid every other year. And they've settled it once. It's written into their document. They'll do the adjustments on their own without even needing to go back to court in the future. And the kids will be well provided for. That was their plan. Pretty unusual.